I'll concede your point just for brevity. But
What? Brevity? We don't do that around here. It's probably
No.
citrus, or what is a Capital One ball? It used to be Citrus Bowl, right? Yeah,
oh my
Capital
God,
One.
dude, where have you been?
I just like the real name.
It hasn't been the Citrus Bowl since like what 2002?
What was your highlight side dish from Thanksgiving?
Oh gosh, Scotch.
This is the Buck Around, the podcast devoted to all things Wisconsin Badger football from a fan perspective. Featuring your hosts, Richard Branch and Maxwell Brusky.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Buck Around. Welcome back to episode 357 of the Buck Around. I am one half of said Buck Around, joined by Richard Branch. I need to put my name in there. I'm not very good at that. Joined by my, I'm going to go with ebullient based on the bouncing you're doing over there. Colleague Maxwell Brusky. How are you, Max?
I've been accused of being ebullient before. coming as no surprise to no one, but yes, that's game week.
It is game week. You're excited. You're ready. It is.
I am.
Like almost 48 hours to the minute. Isn't it a 7 central kick?
It is I thought it was 8.
Is it an 8 central
Because
kick?
Rutgers and whoever they're playing are on from 5 to 8, and I think
there you go.
Badgers don't start till 8, so it'll be 9 o'clock your time. Almost as bad as a bowl game.
That's like a Hawaii game or something.
Yeah. Arizona.
I'll stay up for it. Oh, Arizona State, that one with the kick and all that. And
that's
Stoddy Neal.
Started at 10:30 Eastern. I was in Florida. It's 10:30 Eastern.
I just remember it went on. Anyways, you know what? We have what I would call a large collection of things we want to cover, and we probably shouldn't be talking about football games from a decade ago, and that is my fault.
Especially on game
apologize.
Week.
Yes.
What is this episode? What do you have as the working title for this episode?
It's Game Week Potpourri, Max, because we have a lot going on here. But before we get into game week, do need to mention one thing, which is this is a very important week because, as we said, in 48 hours or so, the Badgers will be playing football. And you know what you need to do after the Badgers play football?
Call the talk around, but
Thank
I would
you.
Also stress, Rich, you can do it while the Badgers are playing football as well.
Factually accurate.
Be like our elite callers that call during the game.
Yes, 347-77 Bucky. Let us know your thoughts. We enjoyed them. We will put them together. We will have a little fan reaction showcase, if you will. Enjoy the talk around. It helps us kick off the game discussion, so don't forget it. I'll mention it at the end of the show too, so you don't forget. One more time, 347-77 Bucky. That dinging sound you just heard was someone texting the talk around.
Yes. Call text option.
Yeah, which for some reason, by the way, the notifications were turned off for like the last 4 months. So those of you who have been like, where were you? Like, why aren't you answering me? We're not big timing you. We just didn't. I'm an idiot.
It is kind of an in-season thing. There's many ways to reach the show. But the talk around is the best one in season.
Yeah, but I did say like we monitor it,
that is correct. Yes, but you just need the notifications
was just
to facilitate that
as a falsehood. So, anyways, let's get into things. Let's get started. Let's start right off. A little press conference reaction / depth chart. I think is really the significant part. I mean, Fickle did not, having watched the presser. It was 25 minutes, but there wasn't anything in there other than Tucker Ashcraft's going to be hurt for a while. And I guess surprise, Jake Renfro's back.
Yeah, it's the Ashcraft thing. I thought was a little bit interesting because it's not like he said he gave a timeline or anything, but he's like, well, he's not on there this week, and
he said, "I don't have a timeline for that yet."
Yeah. But didn't he say this week? He's not on there this week.
I don't know if those words were there, but I'll put it this way. I don't think you are going to see Tucker Ashcraft. I think we're more in the, is he coming back this year or not.
Yeah, I wonder.
So I think it's kind of one of those things. Is he coming back in 6 weeks, or is he finito? That's my vibe on it. Maybe it's another high. I mean, he had high ankle sprains in the past, right? So maybe it's another one of those. But
Yes. I would say one thing before we move on from that though is we talked a lot about that last week. And Jackson Aker. It's right there.
you know what? Since you bring that up, because that's the part I've been wondering about, right? There are a lot of oars on this depth chart. There are just on offense and defensive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 oars on this depth chart. He is one of them as a starting tight end with Lance Mason.
Right.
I have been wondering, how much do you think the or with Jackson Aker and Lance Mason is also sort of either directly or indirectly tied, or secondarily tied, if you want to call it that, to Chris Brooks starting at wide receiver as almost like a he almost feels like a hybrid tight end, the way they talked about him. And when you think about when you saw him, he's a big boy. I mean, they list him 6'2", 222, just for reference. Jackson McGohan is 6 pounds heavier and an inch taller.
That's what I was going to say, is that Jackson McGohan is also on the 2 deep. And when you compare those two and the position groups and blah, 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 you're gonna roll your eyes when I say this, but I'm fond of saying, as I'm waiting to hear where the line is between jazz fusion and progressive rock and vice versa.
Right.
Okay. Where is the line between Jackson McGohan and Chris Brooks?
Yeah, and it's blurry, right?
Isn't it though? I
Yeah.
thought that was fascinating, and I didn't connect the Chris Brooks being like WR number 1 to the tight end situation until you just said that.
It was in relation to Jeff Grimes. He actually volunteered it when they brought up the Ashcraft injury, which was we talked about it a little bit last week.
That. Yeah, that's true. That was a week ago.
Yeah.
Right?
And he said, well, Chris Brooks is a really good blocker. We could find a role to use him in tight or something like that, formationally, to maybe fill some of the gap there, yada, yada, yada. So I guess my thinking was like, oh, does that mean, like, is he more of a, not that he's not a receiver, but is he more in the, that kind of blocker wide receiver role? Like, are we going back to that as fans, to seeing that kind of wide receiver on the field? I don't think so, because I don't.
Who
I
was
think
like
he's
that? Like Jordan Frederick?
That was the name that I was going to say.
I'm trying to think of who else though.
Adam Krumholtz, those kind of guys.
Gosh, yeah, I guess he did get a lot of snaps, didn't he?
I mean, they got a fair number of snaps as guys who weren't really big receivers. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that one kind of stuck out to me. And then the only other thing really on that top half of the offense that kind of caught my eye was there are 9 scholarship wide receivers on the team. Do you know how many? Well, because it's on the agenda. Do you know how many are
I wouldn't have.
The depth chart is 8. There is only one not on the depth chart. Is Barry Johnson. Yeah, that's not a good look. I mean, I don't know how. I guess the one thing I will say about this depth chart is I do goof on it a little bit, because there are 55 players on the non-specialists on here, offensive and defensive, and that's basically half players on the roster.
Right.
But I do feel like it's kind of an honest attempt. I'll give them that. Like, I know Fickle basically said in the press conference, like, yeah, I basically saw this right before you did, more or less. Like, I saw it last night, and I told them to make one change.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, I'll give them this. It does feel like an honest effort. Like, I think there's a lot of personnel swapping that's going to happen, so it's hard to piece into, sort of like when we did our depth chart.
And something like the Dylan Jones, Darian Dupree, like, what kind of aura is that? I mean, they're both going to play. And
well, they're first, second. They're actually not. I know it's Darian Dupree, Cade Yakimelli.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess you're right. Right.
Second team is Dupree or Cade.
That, and again, like, that doesn't make. I don't know.
Is it? Yeah, but I mean, maybe that implies like a 60 20 snap count, or a 55.
There's that, and how many times is Dupree going to be lined up wide?
Correct.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Or
So,
in the slot.
but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that jumped out to me on offense. I don't know about you. Defensively, I did think it's interesting. It's all freshmen on the inside linebackers, right? I do think it's interesting that Catalano, Posa, and Heiberger have passed Antron Turner, all three of them. I'm wondering if we're ever going to see him. Quite frankly, that's quite a fall, if I'm
Could
being
move him to
honest.
fullback.
And the other one who of the portal guys who's not in there, Michael Garner.
Yeah, that was notable.
Is it it may also be an injury. We just don't know, but
Not
he's the
reported.
other 300 pounder that didn't make the list.
And they didn't have. I saw this in the morning yesterday, but
No
I
injury
haven't.
report.
Yeah, no injury report yet.
And people can yell, I apologize. I should know this. They may not be obligated because it's not a conference game.
Nope, that's a good point. Good point. So you want to know what's funny? I had totally forgotten Antron Turner's name until I saw it on our agenda.
I mean, that tells a story, right? Well, the other one who I felt like had disappeared, and then he's showing up late here. I don't know what to make of it again because you have 8 of 9 wide receivers on the depth chart. Joe Griffin making an appearance because I feel like that's a guy that has disappeared into the ether. And when he was
Not
asked about,
necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily. I don't know. He was talked about a lot and played a lot in the spring scrimmage.
yeah, but he was running with the threes this fall. Which, oh, okay, he's back. I mean, it is what it is. Your specialists. So Terrell Henry wins the punt return job
For now.
for now. Tretch is the backup for both, which I'm assuming means Tretch is on the field for the kick return.
I like that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me,
I
right?
like that. Yes.
Vinny Anthony is a kick returner, so hopefully, I do think it's interesting that Tretch is the second punt returner because you feel like it would be. I mean, Vinny Anthony was talked of as the best one, but maybe there's strides there. Like, if you want to be optimistic, I guess you can read into that.
Yeah. I also think it's not necessarily set in stone either.
No.
You know, I think it'll be fluid. I think Tretch will get his chances at both of them. And to your point in the kicks, I mean, if he's on the field, you know,
Yeah.
he may be the guy who does it sometimes.
I mean, teams may kick away from Anthony.
Yeah. So, well, maybe they'll learn to kick away from Tretch eventually. I mean, we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
We will
in the show.
And then the only other thing I wanted to bring up was there was a tweet out there that I thought was interesting that was put out by this guy, Kedrick Stumbris. And Kedrick, I don't remember I think he's an SI guy. I might be wrong, but I should know.
So.
But he posted this piece of information, and I have been thinking about it for multiple days. And I will read it to you, and I will tell you what I'm trying to figure out. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said there are 5 true freshmen on the 2 deep this year. Eugene Hilton, Cooper Catalanato, Mason Posa, Jameer Scott, Kairos Gaines for week 1. Last year, there were only 2, Kevin Haywood and an Xavier Lucas. My question, and I'm going to assume that's right, because I think I can't remember another freshman who was on week 1.
No, I think that's right. Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Why? In year 3 of Luke Fickell, this is your 3rd year as a coach. Is that a good thing?
I think it speaks to the talent that he's subsequently brought in. And the first class was slapped together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you still had 2 last year. I don't know. Year 3, I think I think it's okay in year 3.
Okay.
I don't think you'll see that next year, provided these guys all hang around.
I mean, there won't be space for him on the 2 teams.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And if you look at the guys that are on there, I mean, they're thin at corner, so that's so seeing 2 true freshman cornerbacks, right? That and that position is one where the high school recruits have not stayed around for whatever reason.
Right.
And what stinks too is that had Lucas not been lured away, um, you know, he'd have been on there for sure. And you really wouldn't be worrying about Potpourri nearly as much if Lucas was still here.
No.
So, I mean, so there's that too.
Yeah.
Um, and then Catalano and Posa, I mean, I think they've been like you just talked about it, like they've just shot ahead of the other guys that are there. So, I mean, I think if you look at who they are rather than, oh, there's 5 of them, I mean, that's what you'd want to see. What are you gonna criticize Ohio State for having Jeremiah Smith on their week 1 depth chart last year?
It's not having a freshman on there. It's you have 5, right?
I know. Yeah, I
And
know.
I'm not criticizing it. I'm more just I truly don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
The 2 linebackers in Hilton, I'm excited about. Scott and Scanes, I think just really speaks to what's happened at that position. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, can you consider losing Lucas an anomaly? I think you kinda can.
All right. Let's move on to our second
Second segment?
segment, if you will, for tonight.
Second segment of the potpourri.
Yeah, of the potpourri. Like we've had the lavender. Now we're gonna add I don't know what
Something
else.
green, I think, right?
Rosemary.
Ugh, I hate
I
rosemary. Ugh.
it's very piney.
Ugh.
But
Yeah. No.
let's go with we're doing something here. There was one reaction to last week's show that I think was overarching. You know what that was? How can you not do prop bets? Got several
Yes,
comments about that.
I know. Well, we
And
explained why.
well, we know who to blame.
I know, but
He who
you
remains
could
unsaid.
maybe how is a different question. I don't know, but
Fair enough. And
yeah,
it
it
was
was
more of
beyond our
a.
control.
So what we decided to do was, to your point, we needed to be on record with a few things. How we're feeling about the season, see what we think. And so we're going to do, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 simple props between the two of us to see who's more terrible. Because as you've pointed out historically, it's like, there'll be 200 people that enter and you and I will finish like 165th and 183rd. And the person who is 165th, that is truly, I guess, what you'd call a Pyrrhic victory, right?
Without the blood, but yes,
Without the blood and
definitely
the fire and
definitely Pyrrhic.
but there isn't much there. Yeah. But so let's do this. We have some simple props we kind of work together to come up with. No amusing ones, nothing about Will Ficklewear team. But let's work through these. I think these touch on major points of the offense, the defense, tell a little bit of a story. We'll get right into it. So the first one is a very specific one. Billy Edwards passing touchdowns. Set the over-under at 17.5. I am curious if you have any idea why I set it at 17.5.
I was going to say that's a tough number, so I would be interested in your thought process there.
That is 2019 Jack Cohn. He had
2019
18.
Jack Cohn, love it.
What are you feeling?
All right.
Over
Hold
or under?
on. I need to write up the scorecard here really quick. Do you like the PEJ for Billy Edwards Jr.?
I have never heard that. Who's saying
You
that?
hadn't. Yeah, it's on Twitter.
Oh, that's just. I'm going to say no. All right.
You are going to say no.
To the abbreviation, not to the prop. All right. What is your take
Okay.
on the 17.5? Over or under, Max?
I already marked you down for a no.
Well, that's incorrect because mine is going to be an over.
It's just going to be over. Mine would be over too.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be in the 20s necessarily, but 17.5 seems like a low number for what they want to do.
Does?
Yeah.
I think
I mean, how do you get to 17 if you just want to think about it? Like, Dupree will have a couple, right? Aker will have 1 or 2. And that's like 4 or 5 right there. And then you get a Lance Mason's gonna like have 10. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But put him down for 2 or 3. And then kind of have like a potpourri, and then they're left with the wide receivers.
I think he'll
and
have.
That leaves like 4 or 5 for 3 guys.
Max, I don't know. I feel like he'll have 18 or 19. Like, it's going to be close.
Yeah,
I think this number is going to be tight.
that's what I just said. Yeah, I
But
said I don't see him being in the 20s, but
I think the tricky variable is I think down on the goal line, they're not throwing much. I think they're going heavy.
that's good too. But they have
So
Lance Mason, who's so tall.
I'm aware of Lance Mason. You're not allowed to mention Lance
Well, they also
Mason
have
anymore.
Jaden Ballard, who's pretty tall too.
You're not allowed to mention Lance. Jaden Ballard's 6'2". You have Joe Griffin, who's 6'4". There's your
That's what I'm
real.
thinking of. I'm sorry. I thought Jaden Ballard. Yeah. Yes. Joe, yeah.
But Jaden Ballard feels tall, in fairness. I get it.
Joseph Griffin could be the next Jonathan Orr.
All right. I don't know if
I
I'm
just
getting
wanted
that.
to see the look on your face for that.
Yeah. I'm not going to respond to that. We don't have time. But I think it'll just sneak in there. All right. So we're both on the over.
And we're both on the just sneak in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Confidence level on this one is low. Second one, Billy Edwards, interceptions. Over under 4.5. And you know what? I'm changing this. We're going to set it at 5.5. Because I screwed up. I know I mistyped that.
I'm going over on that too.
So am I. That's why I knew it was too low.
Doesn't make me feel good to do that, but I just.
Well, so Jack Cohen was 18-5. That's why I picked these numbers.
Yeah.
I meant to go the bad side of both, and I didn't think of it when I wrote it down 4.5.
So that's interesting too, because like Cohen's a good comparison. I think that's like kind of been the comparison for numbers. I think that a lot of people are looking at because he was pretty good. But I feel like the quarterback will be a lot more central than it was under Chris with Jack Cohen.
I think also,
you know what I mean?
Yes, but I also think Billy Edwards is a little less risk averse than Jack Cohen. Jack Cohen was very comfortable checking down.
Yeah, well, he's for a Paul Chryst quarterback. Yeah, he's might not be Scott Tolzien, but he's pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, he was efficient and he was check downy. And on 3rd and 8, he had no problem swinging it out to the tight end and hoping he could make an extra 4 yards.
Yeah,
Billy Edwards, I think, is just the vibe you get, and from watching him last year, he'll press the ball a little bit more.
That's why I like him. That's why I'm so excited about
more
him.
risk reward.
Yes.
All right, the leading rusher on the team. This is a fancy way of asking: is will they have a 1,000-yard rusher? The over under on the leading rusher for the team is 999.5 yards.
I'm going to say yes.
You are going over. My gosh, you're so optimistic. I'm going under.
You are.
I think you're going to have 850, 650, and 350 type of thing. Also, I'm just hedging. I can't be over on everything here, Max.
I just feel like it's time again for a 1,000-yard rusher.
That's honestly, how do I put this? There is absolutely no analysis behind that, but I wholeheartly agree. Do you know what I mean? I know the gut feeling.
And my one caveat for that is that if it's, let's just say it's Dylan Jones.
Right.
Okay. I think he'll have to get about 350 between Miami and Middle Tennessee State because
yes.
like how many so what are the props that we're not going to do? I throwing out a bunch of them was like rush yards per game defensively, like defensive rush per game, and I was going to compare it to last year, and like Michigan is not going to give up more than 100 rush yards a game. Alabama's not going to give more than 100 up. I mean, and we're not talking about particular games yet, but like I would think if they go, especially if they have a particular one guy who gets more than 100 yards against Alabama, like the upset will be on for 3/4 of that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a tough one. If you look at the schedule, it's kind of I think you're probably right, and I'm being overly optimistic, and I'm not going to change my vote or not going to change my pick at this time. But I think who are you going to do that against? Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana, Washington, maybe Maryland.
not to get too in the weeds on this
Yeah.
one, but as maybe like I think there's something to consider that sort of backs you up a little bit. I do feel like in those first couple games, if those guys are getting a little run, they're not going to pull them because they're young and they want them to,
Oh, that's
you
a
know
good
what I
point. Yeah.
mean?
I
So they
do.
may
I
let
do.
those guys run it up rather than
I
going to
do.
Yakimelli. I mean, honestly, it might be a thing where Yakimelli doesn't play much and it's a Tuca just to get some snaps in those guys. You know what I mean? Like just to
Yeah.
try to build something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right, fair enough. All right, next one, because oh man, we're gonna run over on time here. Uh, Next one is receivers on the team or individuals on the team with more than 30 catches. Set the over under at 2.5. As a point of reference, last year they had two players over 30. In 2023, they had three. In 2022, they had two. And in 2021, they had three. So, irrespective of offensive systems, that does seem to be a bit of a cutoff with this team.
I'm gonna go over. Vinny Anthony, Tretch,
You're not allowed to say Lance
and
Wilson.
Eugene Hilton. I'm so excited about that dude. I am so excited about that guy. I did not say Chris Brooks was one of those, by the way.
No. So that's the trick. For me, I'm going to go under, but I think I think it's going to be really tight. I think you're going to have Vinny Anthony, high 40s, low 50s. You're going to have a second receiver, 38. And then you're going to have I could see you having three guys between like 23 and 28. And it comes right down to the end of the season. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think that one comes in under. But not necessarily that it's a bad thing. I just think I think they're going to spread. Maybe they're not. We'll see.
I could see that though. I could also see if Anthony's at 40 or 50, then you have like three guys in the 20s.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
All right, let's switch to the defense. I only have two for the defense because I feel like this is the whole story on the defense. We don't need to talk about corners.
Well,
I don't
that's
think
what we were
need-
trying to accomplish with these.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think we need to talk about defensive backs or interceptions or any of that because that's all going to be downstream of something else, and that is what they do with the line of scrimmage. And the prop I have for you is the total number of tackles for a loss as a team. And I am setting the over under at 77.5. I have puzzled over this one for a while. I think I might have set it too low. But as a point of reference, I used the tackles for loss for the 2023 defense.
Not the 2024 defense.
Not the 2024 defense.
Do you remember? Did you in your little bit of research there? And I know we've talked about it. What was the number from last year again?
40.
It was the worst in the country.
They had 42.
42. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh boy, yeah, this is a tough one. I'm actually gonna say I'm gonna go under on that one.
Okay.
And I think it's, maybe having a little bit of carryover from the 1,000-yard rusher on account of the schedule.
Well, I'm just glad that you know what an under is to this point because you have been straight over. So this is I'm going over.
You are okay.
Yeah, I think that's doable. I just do. I mean, in 2022 they had 86.
Mhm.
In 2021 they had 91, 1992. I mean, those are the great defenses.
They are, and they played such a weaker schedule too.
Yeah. That's the hard part, but I think they can eke it. I think they'll get it. I'm not as confident, but I kind of, you know what? I need to be a contrarian. I need to balance. You and I need some opposites. So I'll go over. My confidence index on that one is low. I think they could end up at like 72, but we'll see. And then the other one for the defense, real simple barometer. The sack leader on the team. Most sacks by an individual. Set the over under at 7.25 because of half sacks. Are
I
you
know, I like that.
over or under 7.5 sacks for the sack leader? As a point of reference, do you know who led the team in sacks last year?
I forgot, but I know they had 5.
They had 3.
Oh god, I thought it was 5,
It was
which is
Christian
pathetic.
Allegro with 3. No, you know what you're thinking of is tackles for loss. The team leader in tackles
That
for
is what I'm
loss
thinking of.
was Elijah Hills with 5.5. And tied for the lead in sacks were Elijah Hills and Christian Allegro.
With 3.
Man,
With 3 apiece.
what a really, I mean, I know this is not important to now, but a really, it is going to be one of the truly forgotten, like nice, quietly solid seasons for the Badgers ever will be Elijah Hills because he was on such bad
I know.
defense.
Yeah, I know. He was solid.
Just a nice little
I
player.
agree.
Who really
Played on a
contributed.
team that wasn't that good.
And it quit. Yeah. And he did not. Okay. So
Wait, that's a tough one.
7 and
I'm
a
gonna
quarter.
let you go first on that one.
So as a point of reference, 2023, Daryl Peterson led the team with 4.5. 2022, you had Herbig with 11. 21, Herbig with 9. 19, you had Bond and Orr over that number, both in double digits. And then you go back to 2018 for 5.5 with Van Ginkel. I am going under. And the reason I'm going under, I do think they're going to be pretty heavy on rotation. And I think it's going to be hard to have an opportunity. I think you're going to have, I think if this defense is firing and it works, like that's the big question is does it work? If it works, it's going to be like 3 guys with 5.
Yeah, and as excited as I am about Mason Rieger, I'm gonna get his name right one of these days. I'm gonna wait to hear Matt LePay say it. I think you know what? I feel like I actually heard Matt LePay say Rieger, but anyway, I'm gonna wait till I hear him say it. 7.5 is a tall number when you go back and compare it to that. I want in 18, Van Ginkel got hurt, right?
In 18.
So that would have accounted for his particular low number?
He had played 13 games.
Oh, he did, okay. Because in 18, they still had Bond, too. So, I think that lends a lot here to going under on that. It's an interesting number.
What if it was 6.25? I'm just
It'd
curious.
be a tougher call, but I think I'd probably still go under.
Okay. Yeah, so you're comfortable.
I think you would too, though, based on your rationale. Wouldn't you?
I think 6.25, just from my rationale, like the reason I picked 7.25 was the proposition there is basically, do they have a guy who breaks out and who kind of forces them to play him in an every snap situation? I mean, if you think about it, 22, 21, obviously you don't include 20, and 19. So 3 full seasons in a row, they cleared that easily. 2017, they clear it with Garrett Dooley. Like it's,
yeah, that's something too, right there for that 2017. Wow.
So it comes down to, did they figure out the personnel put in there in the right way that gives, that opens the window? That's kind of where I ended up with that. But I am in the 5. There's a bunch of guys with 5.5s if it clicks.
And it really goes to, will they have a pass rush this year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole
What if
defense.
Daryl Peterson has 6 or 7? I think that'd be kind of cool.
I
don't see it happening.
Would you like to bet some money on that?
That'd be kind of neat. It would have to be the kind that rings than the kind that folds. I'm putting money on that.
That's from a movie. They say that.
Coming to America, I believe.
Is it? Like, yes, it is. When
we
she's
prefer
giving
the kind that folds.
We appreciate the kind that I think it's jingles.
Yeah, jingles. Yeah, I knew rings didn't sound right. Yes, jingles. Yes.
Man, that was a pull, Max. All right.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that line lives in a cell in my brain is kind of sad. I haven't seen that movie in a very long time. Anyways, last question. We need to get to the third phase.
Generation Xer, aren't you?
Third phase of football. I think so.
Yeah.
Special teams touchdown. Will there be one? We'll set it at 0.5. Now, I am willing to say that can be on a special teams play of any kind. It could be a returner fumbles a ball, they scoop, and they get 7.
You know what? And I am going over because I think there will be a return touchdown by Vinny Anthony or Trutch. I don't know about, and I'm not, maybe Tyrell Henry has one, but I think somebody will have one. But I also think that it'll be like a Mason Post or a Cooper Catalano that's going to have one of those wacko I mean, I remember that block punt. And I'm pretty sure it like either went down to the 3, and I think this is in 2019 against Ohio State in the not in the championship game, but in the game, in Columbus. It was really crappy weather, and I think it was, the cornerback Alexander, I wanna say, who blocked a punt, and do you remember if he scored on it or either that or it was a touchdown on the very next play because it went down to the 3-yard line?
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say there's gonna be one of those 2. I mean, the last block punt for a touchdown kinda situation I can remember was against Purdue in, like, 2009, and it was, like, David Gilbert, I think, that did it. Like, it's been that long since something like that's happened on special teams. Or didn't wait, what did Schobert have? Did Schobert have a block punter,
That
or
was a
was that a
fake punt.
kicker? The fake punt,
That
yeah.
was against
So,
Maryland because I was there. I was there for that game and I saw. But he didn't. I don't think he scored.
I don't think he did either.
I think he went
but it
like
was
60
a 60-yard
yards.
run.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So what do you think?
It might even been like 38. It just felt like 60.
It was a long run, and he was trucking. It was a big body.
Yeah. I'm going to go over, but my reasoning isn't so much like I have a firm belief in Vinny Anthony or Tretch or whatever, because so much of that is just kind of it happens.
Yeah.
I think the reality for this team, and Fickle knows it, if he's going to pull one of those games, he needs free points. And I think the best players on the team are going to find themselves playing on special teams so they can try to create some kind of edge. And just because of that, it increases the possibility or the probability of it. So I'm going to take the over, not because I necessarily think like, oh, this guy or that guy, but I just feel like it could happen.
No, I like it. And I think that's pretty optimistic.
All right.
Speaking of optimism, are you ready for some bold predictions?
I am.
Because I'm going to start out, and I know there was some other bold predictions out there that were eerily similar to mine, but they are the same ones. And I think the biggest one that I can say is they will get an upset. They're going to win one of those games they're not supposed to win. I mean, 1 out of 5 is like, that's really bold, but like, they're not going to be favored in any of those games, and 3 of them are on the road.
All right, but let me ask you a different question just to qualify this bold prediction a bit.
Mm-hmm.
One of these teams will inevitably stumble, right? One of these teams that's supposed to be, one of the best teams in the country is going to end up 6-6.
Sure. Well, I don't know about 6-6, maybe.
Just go with me.
They ain't going to be in the playoff, and they're not going to be playing on New Year's Day. Yeah.
Do you count that? Like if they're a team that finishes the season borderline top, even if they finish borderline top 25?
Yep.
Okay.
Against the Big 5 on the schedule?
Yeah, but if they're in an off year, it's not as much of an upset. It's sort of like when the Badgers beat Michigan State in whatever year that was.
It sort of is like that, but that was still pretty awesome.
It was fun.
I mean, LSU, a couple of weeks before that in 2016 was the same thing. Would you have felt that way last year if they beat Michigan last year? I know they didn't play them, but would you have felt like that last year? Is that like, it was one of the, Michigan barely made a bowl. I mean,
it would have been satisfying if they beat Michigan just because it was Michigan.
Well, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be like, oh, wow, what a signature win.
How much are any of those teams going to fall off, though? Like, Ohio State's not like worried about bowl eligibility against Michigan.
If history is any indication, there are teams in the top 10 who fall off, right? That always happens. There are teams that everyone expects to be good, and it just doesn't happen. That
I get it. No,
maybe Bryce Underwood is just not ready for the bright lights in the big city.
Yeah, no, I get that too. No, I get it.
You never know.
I just think that if those teams if that's going to happen, they'll be 9-3. They're not going to be like.
I am confident one of those teams won't be as good. That's not really a bold prediction. Let me get to my first prediction because we are running up on this time, Max. I kind of alluded to it last week, but I'm going to put it to wax officially. I only have 2 that I'm really, because I wanted ones that I kind of think have a decent chance of hitting instead of just being like a flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene Hilton will lead the team in either receptions or receiving yards. He is going to break out.
You feel as good about him as I do then.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you were feeling leading the team in receptions or receiving yards, but I think the way he has been spoken of, I think he has a
That's
real
even bolder,
shot.
but
I
yeah.
think it's like a 50-50 shot that he's a major contributor this year, but I'm going to roll the dice. Got to be bold, right? And that is my bold one. I think he
Oh,
just
yeah.
might, just looking at him, the way he catches the ball, his body control when you see him, he has the shot there. All right. What's your second one?
They'll make a bowl game. Is that bold? Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think they'll make a bowl game. They might finish the season 6-7 after losing the bowl game.
Then mine is different than yours.
Yeah.
This is where we
They're
diverge.
not gonna make a bowl game.
No,
No,
that's
I'm
not my
kidding.
bold prediction because
I'm
I don't
kidding. I'm
feel like
kidding.
I didn't feel like that's that bold.
No, I don't think it's bold at all.
All right.
No.
Here is my bold prediction on the Badgers. And I think it's like you have to say something that you don't like. Consensus is this is unlikely, but you feel like that there is an avenue to it. And for me, I have been turning over that thing about all these freshmen in the two deep and what it means and all these transfers in the two deep. Because quite frankly, the last couple of years, the transfer results have been mixed. It's fair to
Yeah.
say. I would say not significantly any better than just doing the high school 3-star lottery.
No, and to your point, and I don't want to interrupt your flow too much, but if you looked at the personnel breakdown or a preview of Miami, like so many of their transfers they have the pedigree just like these guys do.
Yeah. So, I mean, their starting quarterback was a guy that people were talking about for the Badgers, 2 years ago?
Yes. Yeah. He's pretty good, but whatever.
So here is my prediction. Because of that, because this team is rolling so heavy on these transfer bodies, because this team they're trying to remake, especially on defense, the style of player they're using, how they're playing on the line of scrimmage,
Sure.
how deep they want to rotate. A lot of flyer guys. We don't know what Charles Perkins is going to be after seeing and hearing a lot. He's sort of like a rotational guy right now. Don't know how good Parker Peterson's going to be coming over from Tulane. You got Corey Walker, who seems to be dialed in as like a rush linebacker, who's basically going to be a third lineman. Like, okay, they're doing something there. They're real thin at corner, but maybe somebody steps up. The offense maybe has some answers, but again, a lot of unknowns. I think this year is Fickle's bit of a Hail Mary YOLO year. And I think these things are either going to click and he's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat, which no one expects, because that's kind of when this happens in college football.
Yes.
Like I was saying before, the schedule is super daunting, but there's always going to be a team or two in the schedule that are supposed to be great who aren't, and there's always a team or two who are better than you're expecting.
Sure.
And with this team, I think it's going to either be all or nothing. And I think this team is either winning fewer than 5 games or more than 7.
Now that's a bold prediction. And I think your rationale is, I think that's all there. And what was it, like 6 weeks ago, a couple of those things that in order to do what they want, they're going to have to shock the world.
Yeah.
Things, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
And I just don't see it being a team that like crawls its way to 6 wins. I think it's a team that either significantly exceeds expectations or the theory on how this defense was supposed to come together blows up in their face.
Doesn't work.
I mean, that's where I think that's what it is for me.
You know what would be really cool is that if the teams that are better than you think they are wind up being Michigan and Ohio State. or something like that. And the ones that aren't as good wind up being like Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Wouldn't it though? But to your point, like that would kind of be the formula, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's what gets you to like, sort of 8 wins out of nowhere.
Yeah. Right. With a couple of upsets thrown in there of a Michigan or Oregon. or Ohio State, probably.
So, any closing thoughts besides everybody remember to call the talk around 347-77, Bucky?
No, football's here.
Football is here.
Football's here.
On that note, Max, until
The next time.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Enjoy the conversation? Head on over to buckaroundpodcast.com to find all the ways to connect with the show, links to our Patreon page, and feeds for every major podcasting platform. We want to thank each and every one of our patrons. You make this podcast possible. This has been The Buck Around, Badger football analysis from a fan perspective.